Alright guys, back at the bench. I've got it under the microscope, part 2, and I'm looking at basically the layout because there's two ways of doing this in the IM608. We're going to use that for this, and I'm comparing. There's a preset one for a Chrysler 300, and it looks like the Immobilizer and the pinout is pretty much identical. So I was comparing the pins, so we'll be getting the, I think the TR is going to be here on this pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and here it is right there. And as you can see, this is pin 1 right there. So there's a difference. It's showing you're going to get the power and grounds here, which probably would work. It looks like it's a similar setup. I think there's a capacitor there, so that would probably make sense. On the other diagram, which would be these two pins right here. So, but it's telling you to hook up powers and grounds here, grab from these pins. But let me pull up the other diagram. Let me show you. Let me get out of here. This is what I went under, just under MCU. As you can see it there, Freescale, go out. And if we go to Immobilizer, this will be pretty much guided. So there's the same chipset. And we go to EEPROM, connection diagram. And this is not a real picture, but it's somewhat of a schematic. So you can see it matches up pretty closely. This section here is a little bit different. These ICs that are going sideways, but they're mounted this way on this board. But that is the same connection that I just checked. And as you can see, there it is. So I feel like this setup will work. There's the capacitor I just showed you guys. And I traced that as well, and that is there. The only thing it uses 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas the other diagram asks for more. So I'm going to solder this up, and then we're going to give this a try and see what happens. Okay, we used the 4-wire setup for the Chrysler 300 using all the same positions. So now, as you can see it right there. So now we're going to go ahead and do a read on the EEPROM. And we always have our verify on, so it's going to actually do 2 passes to make sure we read the same data correctly twice. And it read, so we've got our EEPROM. So let's go ahead and save that. I'm just going to call it 05 Durango. Tell it to save. And now I'm going to read the flash. I'm going to back that up just in case. This one takes a little bit longer because the flash area is bigger than the EEPROM area, of course. This contains pretty much the operational data for the module. So on the second pass, it's going to compare and make sure all the data was read equally the same. And that's what we would consider a good read. And of course, by looking at the data to see if it's, if it pretty much shows data. You can have all blanks, all zeros, and it would pass a good read test, right? In this case, it had to read all of these bits exactly the same. So we know that was a good read. And I'm going to call that Durango as well. And save that. So now we've got it backed up, and now we got to get our donor board and write the EEPROM to it. We might just get away from not having to write the flash and just the EEPROM. And of course, that's using the APA 109 cable. Guys, I believe this is going to be the pin location in the EEPROM at this offset 0F0 7590. That's the pin of the vehicle. So I believe it's at this offset right here. and I believe that is the correct VIN number of the vehicle. So just quick note. All right, guys, next day at the Durango, I've got 2 donor modules. We're just going to plug them in and just to see what activity we get on the anti-theft light. So these 2 have different FCC numbers, if you notice that. I'm going to try to clone the data onto the one with the same FCC number, and we'll see how that goes. And worst case, I could always just pretty much adapt one of these to this vehicle and as a, next course of action. So let's see how that goes. All right, I got one of them hooked up, key off, key on, still no security light, nothing. But I went ahead and put on my scanner, and it is throwing a code that the key is not programmed, and also that the secret code is not synced with the PCM. So that's a good sign. So I'm thinking to now go ahead and copy the EEPROM over onto the donor unit and see if we can get a start. Okay, I've got one of them hooked up and back with the IM608, so we're going to go ahead and now try to read this one, the EEPROM, or read. This is the same steps that I showed you, so I'm going to skip this part. And this is the first one I tried that actually showed a wrong key in the ignition, invalid key, which is A, as you can see there. But I'm still going to try it. Let's see what it does. All right, I just connected it up, and I only copied over the EEPROM. Let's see, key on, crank, nothing. Same. Try another key. Same thing. So it's pretty much acting exactly as the other one. Another note, the key actually does work as far as the remote lock, unlock. It still works now that I've copied over the EEPROM, and as you saw, it also changed the VIN number in the SKIM, so that's good. It does have the sync error with the PCM, but it's still showing not a valid key in the SKIM. So of course, if it's not seeing a valid key, it's not going to start, and we still have no light. It's still a concern to me. I'm starting to wonder, are all 3 keys bad? I've got an extra key. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it and try to program it and see what happens, because very strange. let's go that route. What I went ahead and did is on the original donor, I modified the VIN number. I left everything else the same, and if the my idea of where the actual PIN code is correct in this EEPROM file, it should be 7700, but we'll pull the IM608 on that and see if it matches. Go ahead and decode the key. All right, there it is. I'm gonna test it out. All right, we got our modified VIN and the original EEPROM here, and our new key, and it does turn. Ignition does come on. Of course, no crank. So now we're gonna put the IM608 and go ahead and try to program new key, add a key to this. Then we're probably gonna have to also the PCM. We've got the ignition on. Let's see what the PIN number is on this one. Yes. Off. On. Yep, I was right. 7700, guys. So now we'll go ahead and try to do emo scam. We're gonna have to program the PCM to this Immobilizer and then program this key. And of course, this is going to be SKIM, that program. Hey, my friend. All right, all right. Okay, this one originally had 3 keys programmed into it. And there's the VIN number that I modified, which matches the VIN number of this vehicle. And it's showing enter in programming mode. Okay, let's do, I think if we probably try to do add key, it's going to bring us to this anyway, but let's see here. Just came back, let's do an add key. Okay. All right. No lights, by the way, on the cluster. Wait 26 seconds, and this is our brand new key. We've got it in ignition. So let's see what it does. If it fails, learning successful. We've got 4 keys. So that means it did actually read this key, and it's programmed to this SKIM. Now, let's see what happens. We're going to tell it no, because we couldn't do this using existing keys yesterday on the original SKIM. So let's see now if we still have to make the PCM, but see if we see anything. Nothing. Okay. So you back out of EEPROM, go to control unit, module replacement, and PCM replaced. Okay. Okay. And that is our PIN. PIN has been programmed. Okay. Cancel. Our VIN is already correct. Tell it off, on. Still no crank. Let me check to see if we still have the code. Still active. Let me let it write the VIN. All right. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay. Yeah. Failed. It said failed, but the code is actually now stored. Let me try that again. I'm gonna ignition off, try to crank, and then go back and read it. It's stored, so that means that it's cleared the DTCs. I'm gonna erase that code, so it actually did transfer. It's just didn't get the proper response back on the scanner, so I thought it failed. And erase all codes, old codes. That's an old code too, I'm sure, from the key. Yeah, now it's programmed, stored. Okay. No, key off. On. No crank, still. Man. Gonna do another scan. See if we get any more DTCs, which I'm sure we do not. So then that's going to leave the question, what's going on at this point? PCM, of course, no codes. WCM, no codes. Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. And we have a brand new key, guys. Another Immobilizer, and still no crank. Let's read, let's go into the module, Immobilizer, and see live data. Okay, guys, this looks a lot better. It actually now detects the key number 4, which of course we know is the last key we just added. It used to be 3 keys, and ignition is in run, and the SKREEM status is engine run. So at this point, we're actually made a lot of progress, except for this, right? Let's see if I do a crank. Stays in false, engine off, start. Got it held on start. On. Okay. Still no crank. Let's see. Start. Ignition start. Status is start. Okay. It's recognizing the new fob that when we press the buttons, I tested it, it does lock and unlock the doors. So now we got to see why it's not starting. We've got progress. Let's see. Let's go to the PCM and see what it says. Okay, now we're in the PCM, and of course, no codes. All right. Let's view some live data, and let's see what we see here. Okay. Fuel is on. SKIM is completed. True. It does have park and neutral. That's fine. This one I think I need to investigate, which is probably because it's not getting the seed from the Immobilizer. Alright guys, I went ahead and tested the keys. I was just curious, and the new key of course tests out okay, and the 2 extra keys for this vehicle test out okay, but one of them doesn't read at all, which doesn't surprise me. We have 1 failure but 3 failures. I find it highly unlikely. So still, that doesn't explain with the other 2 keys that we're reading why it was not starting, right? Now we've got the new key programmed to a replacement SKIM module, and still we're at the exact same condition as before. Not exactly, but very similar. Right now the key is actually detected by the module. I can see communication going between the PCM and the SKIM, but we're still in a no crank condition. It's not grounding. The PCM is not getting a start to a start phase, rather. I did try grounding the starter circuit to see if the PCM actually would still run, and it does not. So it's the same, basically a no crank. It's not trying to even run the engine. So the question is, am I stumped? No, I don't think so. But I'm going to have to research more exactly the details on this system because I'm not 100% familiar with every step that this module takes and the communication between the PCM to exactly know where the break is, right? Because there's definitely going to be a break in the authentication process to actually send the command to the PCM to start. So there's a break somewhere in that, and where I need to research exactly the details on this SKIM system, and then I'll be able to come up with a solution and find out exactly what's wrong, where the break is at. We know at this point it is not at the key. Previously it was the key. That's been eliminated with the new key and a replacement WCM. Another big point of concern is still we have no light at all on any of the SKIMs with the cluster. That's a big question mark to me, because why is there nothing during programming, during anything? There's nothing. It never comes on, period. We've tested that cluster and we know the light works. It can receive the command and turn it off and on, but for some reason something is going on. There's something strange. This could also be related, the same reason why this is not, let's say if this is sending CAN bus messages to turn on that light, it could be the same reason why the engine is not starting at this moment. They could be related. Worst case, backup solution, I could always do an emo off on the PCM. So that's where it's at. So I'm going to do some digging, some research, and I'm going to have to come back on this one. There's going to be a part 3. So we're going to basically get to the bottom of this SKIM issue. Hey guys, just by chance, I got called out to a 05 Dodge Dakota truck, and I'm tested. I got the one we just programmed, a new key, and I put it in, flashing, security light with no key. If I put the key, and now it reads the key when I turn the ignition off and on. So the key that we programmed is good, and there's a problem on that Durango that it's not communicating properly with the cluster or something else, why the cluster never activates.